Hi there guys, this is Ceramic85 here. Today I'll be working on my onboard air system project, my Dodge Ram 1500. It's about time to install the compressor now, and I got this Viair air compressor. It's a 444C model and it runs on 12 volts, draws up to 38 amps with a maximum operating pressure of 200 psi. This thing's maximum airflow is at 3.5 cubic feet per minute, and it seems to be built pretty solid and weighs about 20 pounds. The unit has two brackets with 4 rubber buffered holes on it for an easy bolt-on installation. It came with a pressure switch that's going to turn the unit off at 200 psi and turn it on as soon as the pressure in the tank drops under 165 psi. Also, there is this relay to connect the compressor to the power supply. And then we have the air filter unit to keep dirt and dust from going inside the unit. It comes with 2 spare filters, which is kind of nice. The filter can be screwed directly onto the compressor, or you can use a hose to remotely put the filter somewhere clean and dry. These are the small bolts that are included to mount the compressor. I ordered some extra parts for the connections. There's this 1/4" T, which I want to put directly behind the check valve here so that the pressure switch can be mounted close to the compressor. You could also put it onto the tank, but this way I don't have to run so many wires. Then I got these screw-in quick connectors for all line connections. These are just screwed in, and then you can just slide in the polyamide line into the blue side. This airline's outer diameter is 8 mm and the inner is 6 mm. And according to the manufacturer, it can be used for working pressures up to 275 psi. A good thing is that you can easily add outlets to the line by putting in one of these T's for air horns or whatever. I will be using this Teflon tape to seal all pneumatic fittings to avoid air leaks. Now the power wires on the compressor are not that long, so if you want to put this thing somewhere else than next to your battery, you have to get extra wires. But before that, I want to find a good spot for mounting the compressor. I don't want to put it in the truck bed since it'll be in the way, and putting it underneath the truck would expose it to dirt and moisture. So therefore I decided to install the unit somewhere in the engine compartment. I have this cold air intake here in the front. Behind that there's the control unit and the evaporator of the propane system. Here above the units would be enough space to bolt the compressor to the fender. But because I want to avoid drilling into the metal of the vehicle, I think that this would be a very good spot here. The air filter box is made of metal and pretty stable. The compressor would sit pretty high right under the hood, which helps to keep dirt and moisture away from it. And also the install will be easier here through good accessibility from both sides. Okay, this is where it's gonna be, so I start bolt on the compressor. I removed this existing screw here in the corner and used the hole to attach the compressor. Then the other 3 holes can be marked for drilling. That way I make sure that all the holes match well later. The drill I'm using is just a little thicker than the screws so that they don't have play in the hole later. So I mark where to drill and then remove the compressor so that I have enough space to drill the holes. And now I'm trim the edges with a larger 10 mm drill. I'll make sure that no metal chips or dust remains in the engine compartment to avoid rust. Now the compressor with all 4 screws can be mounted. Alright, the compressor now sits nice and tight on the back of the air intake box. Now I'll take care of the airline connection to the tank, which is located under the passenger side on the underbody. I did a video about the air tank install. You'll find a link to that in the end of this video. The Viair unit comes with a check valve already installed. It prevents the air from pushing back into the compressor when the air tank is filled up. Now I screw that T-piece on there with Teflon tape. On the other end of the T I put a 1/4" quick connector. The pressure switch is now put in the middle, wrapping it nicely with Teflon tape to avoid annoying leaks. I screw it in and tighten it up a little. Now I'm running the line to the tank by sliding it on the fender all the way under the truck. The air tank has 3/8 inch threaded connections. I screw in one of these angle connectors and tighten it. Now the line can just be plugged in. I am now cutting the line to the right length, using these pruning shears since I don't have any professional air hose cutters. Not pinching the line too bad while cutting helps to avoid leaks at the round plug-in connectors later. It's time to screw the air filter onto the compressor. To open the housing, you can use a small screwdriver if you need to change the filter or anything. I removed this little nipple here and screw the filter on. Make sure the filter housing sits on nicely and don't over tighten it since it has plastic threads. Now it's time to take care of the power supply. For that, I first put a 5mm thick red wire from the battery to the compressor. I'm running it together with a small dual wire over to the other side and secured with zip ties. The wires disappear nicely behind this weather strip. I am adding a fuse to the positive wire. And then prepare the end for clamping it onto the battery later. Now I go over and connect the black negative wire coming from the compressor to the frame of the truck. For that I use an existing little bolt there next to the propane ECU. I go on and take the end of the red wire that I just ran to the battery and solder it to the relay pin 30. You see a diagram of the used relay in the corner of the screen. Okay, now I soldered the red wire that's attached to the compressor onto the pin 87. Only wires that are missing now are the ones that work the relay. So I soldered the thin dual wire that I ran behind the weather strip to pins 85 and 86. Polarity doesn't matter so far. Now I can run this dual wire to the pressure switch and cut open one of the wires and connect both ends to the pins of the pressure switch. Having it soldered on, the dual wire is now being ran all the way under the dashboard. Here I got this little switch that I can control the compressor with later. The switch again is connected the way that it only gets power with the car ignition on. The way it works in the end is that the car ignition and the dash switch, as well as the pressure switch, all need to close the circuit in order to work the relay which runs the compressor. So now I connect the prepared power cable to the battery. Then I use zip ties to secure all the air hoses and power lines. That way nothing is hanging around in the engine compartment and it looks a little nicer too, right? I can finally run the compressor for the first time. Seems like everything's working as it should. I hope this video helps you in any way. Feel free to check out more of my air parts install videos on the underbody air tank and the truck bed air outlet port. I really appreciate every thumb up, every subscriber, and every comment. Thank you a lot for watching and good luck with your projects. Until next time, this is Ceramic85 signing out.